the offensive lines, which one, obviously the one in New England is the one that has a lot of heavy lifting to do compared to what we've seen from the Seattle front lines, correct? I'd imagine this is the sort of thing that Mike McDonald and the defensive group are targeting to try and win this football game up front.
Yeah, I think if you look at New England with Jared Wilson and Will Campbell on the left side, I mean, two rookies who I think are really good players, but there's been a challenge. There's been leakage over on that side of the line of scrimmage a time or two, and I think you can take advantage of some of that. I think one of the things that Mike McDonald does a great job of, and we talk about their match coverage and all the different things they do. I just think they're really good at attacking your protection and breaking down your protection. And they've got the players to get that done. So I think that's going to be a huge matchup. Mike McDonald versus the protection aspects of the New England Patriots. And let's face it, going into the AFC Championship, you look at Drake May had taken 10 sacks. I think he had 6 fumbles, 3 fumbles lost. If you can do that and you can put that pressure on him, there's an opportunity to get extra possessions for your offense with the football, turn the ball over. And we know how vital the turnovers are. And then I just think if I look at Seattle, what they're doing right now, just from a balance standpoint, their ability to run the ball, to tie that play action into it, I think they're playing as well as anybody up front. I think they're really good. Their right guard is a little bit of a weak point for them, but you can hide that. That's a guy that you can protect a little bit. But I think on the left side of the line of scrimmage, they're playing great football. And I think just from a schematic standpoint, their ability to execute schematically, their ability to block the right guys, their ability to get movement on the line of scrimmage, even if you don't get the second level blocked, if you make that guy bubble over the top of things, those linebackers bubble over the top of things, and don't allow them to attack downhill, you're automatically with Kenneth Walker, you get 3 to 4 to 5 yards. And when you get those, when you're second down and 5 minus, you're second down and just over 5 yards, man, your whole playbook, everything is open. And then ultimately as a defense, man, you have to respect everything. And so you just can't ever pin your ears back. And I think Seattle does a phenomenal job of that. I think their group up front is playing really, really well.
But there is just the sensibility, Mark Schlereth, of what New England's been cooking for all season that nobody expected. And again, Mike McDonald's got his finger on the pulse of his locker room, and I'm sure he's got them playing as one and playing for each other. And we've heard quite a bit about that. But the reason why I'm bringing this up about Mike Vrabel is it involves the offensive line, and it's in an article in the Boston Herald today. I don't know if you've been able to see this yet, Mark. And I can't wait to get your reaction to it, and how Vrabel found out that the offensive line group had been fining themselves in a fine system within their own locker room to keep themselves accountable. And they're raising money for an off-season trip, an end-of-season trip that they plan to take together. And Vrabel caught wind of it, and he caught wind of the fact that part of the fundraising by the offensive line group is they would fine an offensive lineman $100 anytime Vrabel mentions them by name in a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so Vrabel caught wind of this, and instead of telling them, I know about this, he went in and particularly nailed Will Campbell over and over and over again because he's the rookie. Quote, players quickly got wise to their coach's antics, and the room echoed with roaring laughter. By the end, Vrabel said Campbell's name 11 times in that meeting alone. But when Vrabel called on a veteran like center Garrett Bradbury, he refrained from name-calling. Quote, hey, center, what do we do here? He asked Bradbury.
Right.
You hear that, and you're like, okay, I get it. Right, Mark?
Well, I sat down with Vrabel midway through the season. I was doing a Patriots Cleveland game. He told me he was doing this to Will Campbell. So he told me. So Vrabel and I were having a great time in the meeting, just kind of talking about it. He goes, this is what's going on. Do you guys, because, Denver Broncos were kind of one of the first that I knew of that had the whole offensive line kangaroo court, right? And that we find each other for everything. And that has become kind of tradition across the league. Everybody kind of does it. And so he told me, like, he was all giddy about it too, because he's like, they don't know, but I know. And so, yeah, and he told me about the Will Campbell stuff, how he just belted out Will Campbell's name in the meeting. And he's like, all the offensive linemen hate it because, offensive linemen hate like just playing that position, Rich. Nothing good can happen to you when you play that position. You could be the greatest. You guys can have the greatest game ever, right? You're tied together. Running back gets 250 yards, and you're nothing more than a tagline in a post-game press conference, right? Hey, before, like, hey, had 250 yards. You did a great job. Yeah. Hey, before we talk about me, let me talk about the big guys up front. They did a hell of a job. Now let's get back to me and what I was able to accomplish, right? And so, like, there's nothing good to happen, but you get one holding call, right? And your name gets, entered over the intercom, and all of a sudden you're a bad dude, or you can't play, or you give up one sack. And so, yeah, everybody just wants to go through a whole game without their name ever being called. That's kind of a big deal. But yeah, Vrabel has got this unbelievable ability to be authentic, to be hard, to drive his guys, but also to be connected relationally. He does a great job. And you go out to practice on a Friday, and Vrabel's out there in a penny, playing outside linebacker. And I mean, he's mixing it up on a Friday with guys, that got their helmets on and everything else. And like, he just doesn't care. He's out there like really playing, given the look squad, and so he's a dude that I think they really appreciate. He's a guy that's earned that trust and that respect, that can absolutely get in your ass about something. At the same time, that he does it out of a position of, I'm trying to make you better. And I think guys really, really respect that.
And they respond. I mean, look at what this season has been for back-to-back 4-win seasons. And I understand there has been some significant additions in free agency and also in the draft, but to collectively bring them together in a span of 17 regular season games and a training camp, obviously, and in the playoffs, just rewarded with outstanding situational play to overcome lack of points, to overcome slow starts, to, at the end of the day, win a game. And you're just like, how the hell did that happen? And why can't that happen in Super Bowl 60, Mark?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it certainly can. I think it starts, defensively. This happened a couple of years ago. I remember Sean Payton taking over the Broncos, and the bunch of national publications had the Broncos rated with the 30th or 31st best roster. And I'm sitting here in Denver doing Denver radio. Just because the national media doesn't know the names doesn't mean they don't have really good players. They do. And, mention a bunch of defensive players. I think the same can be said for the Patriots. Like, just because nationally, maybe they don't have the name recognition or value of a Houston or somebody else, they're really good. Milton Williams is a really good player. Christian Barmore is a really good player. Landry, even though he didn't play in the AFC Championship game, is a really good player off the edge. Spillane, and I think you take all those things, Gonzalez, all those guys are really good players. But then, like, right from the very start of the game, they did a great job of creating confusion, defending the run. So they roll a safety down into the box, and then the safety and the linebacker exchange. They do kind of a cross dog against the run, and it screws up the blocking assignments of the offensive line. And all of a sudden, the very first play of the game is no gain. You tackle it at the line of scrimmage, and now you're behind the chains. And I was like, they did that several times during the course of a game. So it's not just understanding, hey, man, this formation, and this down and distance, they're going to run the ball, but how can we become kind of the aggressors in this? And I thought, Mike Vrabel and his staff did a phenomenal job on the defensive side of the ball, making that AFC Championship a defensive battle, and saying, hey, at the end of the game, we're going to create just enough mistakes on that side of the ball from their offense to give us a chance to win. And it worked out perfectly. It worked out to plan.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.